In the heart of Lagos, where the city never sleeps and power speaks louder than words, lived Amara Mbakwe, the only daughter of Chief Makwe, a billionaire whose influence stretched across oil, real estate, and politics. Amara was beauty and brilliance combined. An Oxford graduate of international relations, admired for her elegance, and spoken of like a queen among men. Everyone believed her destiny was already written, to marry within her father's circle of wealth and power. But fate had other plans. One hot afternoon, as Amara's car broke down on the outskirts of Lekki, she stepped out in frustration. And that's when she met him. A young man in grease-stained overalls, sweat on his brow, yet calm as the sun beat down on his back. His name was Ikenna, a local mechanic who worked and lived in his workshop. He had no house, no family nearby, just a burning passion for engines and survival. As he fixed her car, Amara couldn't look away. There was something in his voice, sincerity, humility, and confidence without arrogance. He didn't stumble over his words like the rich boys she knew. He looked at her not with desire, but with respect. When he handed her the car keys, she smiled. And before driving off, she said softly, "Thank you, Ikenna." He only nodded. But in that moment, something began. Something neither of them understood yet. Days turned into weeks. Amara found excuses to visit his workshop, claiming her car made strange noises just to see him again. She brought him homemade meals, fresh clothes, and books to help improve his craft. The two shared laughter, stories, and dreams under the Lagos sun, surrounded by oil, sweat, and sincerity. The whispers began. People stared. A billionaire's daughter falling for a mechanic. Unthinkable. But Amara didn't care. Her heart had chosen. When she told her parents, chaos erupted. Her mother's voice shook the house. "Amara, a mechanic. From the gutter. This is a disgrace." But surprisingly, Chief Makwe didn't object. He studied his daughter for a long while, then said, "If he's a man of integrity, I will help him stand." Days later, Chief Makwe invited Ikenna for a private dinner at the mansion. The table stretched long, covered in golden plates and polished wine glasses. Ikenna sat stiff, nervous, but respectful. The chief asked questions about his life, his dreams, his past. And Ikenna answered with honesty and humility. He spoke of his struggles, of nights without food, and his hope to one day build a workshop that trained young men like him. By the end of the night, Chief Makwe smiled. "You have the spirit of a man," he said. Then handed him a check for 5 million Nigerian nairas. "Start your own diagnostic center. Build something you can be proud of." Ikenna was speechless. Amara's eyes filled with tears of joy. For once, it seemed love had conquered status. A year later, Amara and Ikenna were married, not in a lavish ceremony, but a beautiful modest one filled with warmth and laughter. Friends, mechanics, and family gathered as the bride walked down the aisle in simplicity and grace. Her father watched with pride. Her mother, silent but resigned, dabbed at her tears. Love had won. But as months passed, life began to test them. Business was slow. Competition was fierce. Bills piled up. Amara, now pregnant, left her job to take care of their home. Ikenna worked day and night, yet the money was never enough. He smiled for her sake, but inside, fear grew. Fear of failure. Fear of not being enough for the woman who had given up everything for him. Then one afternoon, a man from his past walked into the workshop. His name was Chuka, a childhood friend now draped in wealth and power. Chains of gold around his neck, expensive perfume in the air, and an aura of arrogance that filled the room. He looked at Ikenna, smirked, and said, "Guy, your dreams are too big for this small hustle. I know people, powerful people. Join us, and you'll never lack again." At first, Ikenna refused. He said he wanted to build with his hands, not shortcuts. But as days turned to weeks and the bills kept growing, the pressure began to eat at his soul. Amara was hopeful, but he was breaking inside. Her smile became his burden. Her love became his reminder of what he couldn't provide. And deep inside, a dangerous whisper began to grow. What if Chuka was right? That night, Ikenna stood alone outside the workshop, staring into the distance. The moon hung low over the city, and the wind carried voices of ambition and fear. He didn't know it yet. But every decision from that moment onward would lead him down a path of light and shadow. The love he built with his hands was about to be tested by forces beyond his imagination. And from that test, nothing and no one would ever be the same again. Days turned into nights, and nights into silence. Ikenna's dreams began to crumble under the weight of reality. Death grew, hope faded, and the once loving home he shared with Amara now echoed with unspoken words. He watched his wife sleep, her hand resting on her swollen belly, and wondered if love alone was enough to feed the future they'd built. Standing there was Chuka, the same childhood friend. Now dressed in power and confidence, his car engine still humming outside like a beast. He smiled, showing gold teeth that caught the light. "Guy," he said, "your dreams are too big for this small life. You have the mind, you just lack connection." He leaned closer. "I know people who can change everything for you. Real power. Real money. All they ask is loyalty." Ikenna laughed nervously. "Loyalty to who?" Chuka's smile deepened. "To the Order of the Fire Eye." At first, Ikenna refused. He told himself it was madness, superstition, evil. But hunger has a way of changing the shape of truth. Weeks later, after another argument with Amara about money, he found himself standing at the gate of Chuka's mansion. Torches burned at both sides. The iron gate bore a strange symbol, an eye made of flame. He hesitated, but the door opened by itself. Inside, a room glowed red with candlelight. Men dressed in black robes stood in a circle, their faces hidden, their voices whispering in a tongue he didn't know. In the center, a golden bowl filled with fire. A masked figure spoke. "To gain the world, you must empty your heart. Are you ready, Ikenna?" His lips trembled. "Yes." The fire flared, and the oath was sealed. From that day, everything changed. Ikenna's workshop expanded overnight. Contracts flowed in. Politicians shook his hand. Money rained like never before. He moved Amara into a mansion. Luxury cars lined the driveway. Servants bowed at his command. He told himself he was still the same man. But deep inside, the old Ikenna was gone. Amara noticed. His laughter faded. His smile became forced. His nights grew restless. Then, one night, Ikenna received a call. A voice on the other end, calm, low, cold. "The cleansing begins in 3 weeks. Until then, do not eat food cooked by a woman. Do not sleep with your wife. And on the appointed night, you must stand under the sacred Iroko tree and call her name 3 times. Ikenna froze. "Whose name?" The voice answered. "The one you love the most. For she must go, or you will die." The phone dropped from his hand. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. For days, he avoided Amara, claiming he was fasting, praying, working late. She didn't understand. She tried to hold him, but he pulled away. The warmth that once filled their home was gone, replaced by shadows and cold silence. The night of the ritual came. Under the ancient Iroko tree, Ikenna stood trembling, his eyes red from tears. Candles flickered. Chuka and the others stood around him in black robes. Call her name, the masked leader said. He hesitated. His voice cracked as he whispered. Amara. Nothing happened. He called again, louder. Amara. Thunder rumbled. The flames grew wild. He shouted a third time. Amara. And then everything went silent. The wind stopped. The fire dimmed. And Ikenna collapsed. That same hour, far away in their bedroom, Amara clutched her chest and fell to the floor. Lifeless. Their unborn child gone with her. Days later, her body was laid to rest. The crowd wept. Ikenna stood frozen, eyes hollow, soul empty. He had wealth, but no peace. Power, but no life inside him. That night, he heard her voice. Soft. Crying. Ikenna. He turned, nothing. The next day, the mirror in their room cracked on its own. Her favorite song began to play from an unplugged speaker. And every time he closed his eyes, she was there. Standing in the dark. Tears glistening, whispering. Why did you choose them over us? He ran to prophets. To priests. To herbalists. Some gave him oils. Others gave him salt and water. Nothing worked. One said, marry another woman. A new love would drive away the old spirit. So he did. Her name was Ngozi. Beautiful, kind, innocent. He thought maybe life could begin again. But on their wedding night, he woke up naked in the middle of the Lake Expressway. With no memory of how he got there. Ngozi began to scream in her sleep, claiming Amara was choking her. Cuts appeared on her arms, deep and bleeding. Marks she didn't make. Mirrors shattered. Doors slammed. And every corner of the mansion echoed with the same haunting cry. Ikenna. Then his account was wiped clean. His cars caught fire. His business partners vanished. Even Chuka, his friend, his link to the order, was found dead in his mansion. His eyes burned black. The curse had come full circle. Ikenna, now a shadow of himself, wandered from prophet to prophet. But the answer was always the same. You traded love for gold. Now gold will burn you to ash. He returned to the old workshop where it all began. Alone. Broke. Haunted. Days passed. Then one night, a knock echoed on the metal shutter. He opened it slowly. A teenage girl stood there, holding an envelope. She said softly, I was told to give you this. And before he could ask, she disappeared into the night. The letter was handwritten, no name, no stamp. It read, if love was all you ever had, why did you sell it for gold that burns? Tears rolled down Ikenna's face as he fell to his knees. The paper trembling in his hands. No one knows what became of him after that night. Some say he lost his mind. Some say he drowned himself in the lagoon. Others whisper that he still roams the streets of Lagos, muttering Amara's name under the Iroko tree. But one thing is certain. True love, once betrayed, doesn't die. It waits. Sometimes in silence. Sometimes in wrath. Because no amount of wealth can replace the purity of a loyal heart. The moment you trade love for greed, the price will always find you. This was Ashes of Love. A story of desire, betrayal, and the fire that never dies. Remember, some treasures cannot be bought, only earned, and once lost, they never return. Follow us for more amazing African stories that touch the heart. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps our stories alive and helps our stories spread across the world.